everyone. We are now back with another episode. Today, I want to continue on something that we touched upon a little bit in our previous episode, and that's that was about conservatories, right? And where they are now in 2024. How are they serving the students? Are they serving the students to the best of their abilities? All three of you went to a conservatory. I didn't. I didn't do the performance route. I was part of the music program. I did music business. So it was slightly different. At what point did you feel like, okay, this is where I'm going down the path? How did you decide that a traditional conservatory was the way to go versus, let's say, a music school within a bigger university?
Well, I mean, it's funny that you say that actually because I had to make that decision at the end of the day. I guess I first kind of decided I wanted to apply for piano in general when I was in high school. I
Okay.
was a student in Manus Preparatory Division. I won kind of by accident this competition that was called the Piano Accolades Competition. And I remember I made the recording and then I sent it to my teacher, and she was like, and including CCing the recording engineer, she was like, "Nick, this is like the worst recording I've ever heard you record ever." And I accidentally kind of fell backwards into the competition and ended up winning. So it kind of all started from there. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is something I want to do in the future.
Okay.
And then kind of momentum kept on going from there. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to try and see if I can get into a conservatory. And I ended up getting into Manus. I ended up getting into other schools, for example, like NYU, which is not a conservatory, but it
Yeah.
has a very, well, I guess now well-respected music school within the university.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I had to make a choice. And I was like, well, do I want to go here? Like, it was actually kind of a crazy decision if you think about it. A lot of my friends would call me straight up dumb because I could have gone to NYU for free because I got enough money for a piano scholarship and for an academic scholarship based on my ACT scores and whatnot. And I got enough financial aid that I could go for free. And then I could go to Manus, where thanks to the help of people who pushed for me from Manus Prep, I had half scholarship. And so I ended up deciding to go to Manus because of the fact that it's a conservatory. I wanted to take courses specifically that had to do with my major, right? Nothing against, of course, core classes that I would have to take in NYU, but I was looking at the list of courses and then I saw like chemistry, physics, classes that I like absolutely abhorred in high school. And I was like, I don't want to take this again. Like, worst case scenario, I take physics and I get an F and I lose my scholarship, which sounds like a terrible idea. Just to give you some perspective, there were, I'm trying to think right now, like maybe like 15 core classes at least, maybe 16. So I was like, well, I'd rather place my bets and then apply to Manus instead. Or enroll in Manus instead, and that's what I ended up doing. In the long run, I feel like it was the right decision. So right that I in fact made that decision again when I went there for my master's degree, where I had to choose between NYU and Manus, and also throw MSM into the mix. And I was like, well, I think Manus is the right choice. I think, like this time it wasn't really a financial decision. It's just like, well, it worked out so well for me for my bachelor's.
What about you, ladies?
My story is pretty simple. I'm originally from Canada, right? And
Yeah.
ever since I was little, I wanted to go like an arts related route, and I started learning violin. And then I decided to move to New York. Well, my parents also helped me decide to for more opportunities, and there's like a more rich music community. And then yeah, in high school I was here, and then my teacher taught at Manus, so he's like, you should come to Manus for college, and then I just did it. It was like very straightforward path.
So you always knew. I like in high school, right? Because I did go to performing arts high school, but I was very sure by high school that this is like performance was not for me. So but I always knew I always knew that I wanted to stay in music, in some way. So like conservatory was never that option for me, because conservatory was just, that was it. It was, you just go in as a performance, and you in whatever instrument or voice, and or in the case of Julia, you that's the performance was the route you were going to take. And of course, with conservatories, you've got the conducting and the composition. Those are the only other options that you had. And so I knew that like conservatory was not going to be my way of, that was never going to be part of an option for me, because I wasn't going to go down that path. But for you guys, you kind of knew, like, when was that point in your in that younger years where you said, oh, I knew performance is what I wanted to do? And did that change now after you now graduated? So we'll get to that second question later, but yeah, go ahead.
I am okay. So I started playing piano when I was 4. So it's
Mm-hmm.
basically like around that time, everyone in my elementary school, like everyone is playing instrument. It's kind of like a trend.
Yeah.
So like naturally, my parents sent me to like study piano, and then weirdly, like I'm the only person who's like within all of my friends, like I stick it through. They
Mm-hmm.
most of them like quit during like middle school or whatever. I just like keep doing that, and then until like high school, I was, oh, this is like the only thing that I'm like doing right now, because like
Right.
I'm barely at school. I like took
Mm.
private classes, and then I have like a private tutor, so I was like barely at high school, and I
Oh,
realized, oh my
okay.
god, like okay, I guess this is the thing that I'm doing now. So I'm applying for school. So I went to Shanghai University, which is it is a university that I have to take like core classes. Interesting enough, like after sophomore year that I stopped, like because I feel like I need more help academically. So I had like a professor from Shanghai Conservatory. So I like went to
Mm.
like private classes with him like twice per week. It's very
Mm.
intense. So I was also, by the time, I was not at the school a lot. I was taking private classes and I just practice. So I was like, basically, I'm not in the system of a school most of
Mm.
the time. I was just like doing piano solely. I don't know. And then eventually I was like, oh, okay, I guess because Shanghai University is not really like a conservatory. I wanted to see how it looks like being an actual art school and conservatory. So I went to Manus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And during that period, I feel like piano is not the thing that I feel like I will be committed enough to do for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like during high school, I do have like I make music on GarageBand, and then like in
Mm.
college, I was like making beats for like
Mm-hmm.
people for like a rap group in my
Mm.
university. Also, I did DJ. Like that's
Mm.
a era. Like I feel like I do have like a lot of side interests, but like it's just like because piano took so much of my energy and time that I never had a chance to like actually go that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I went to New York, that I feel like, okay, I want to do something else, but still music related. Right now, I'm not doing piano. I'm at media studies. I guess
Okay.
that's kind of answering
Yeah.
the question,
Yeah.
like what is the part, like what is the thing that made me feel like, oh, piano is not, I changed from piano to other
Mm-hmm.
paths. Because I do feel like, because I teach a lot during college, but I feel like if teaching is like the thing that you want to do after you graduate, then you don't actually need like a DMA or whatever, like a master. It's because first of all, it's a lot of money. Second of all, I just feel like teaching is not my thing, and then I feel like I'm not gonna be passionate and committed enough to pursue another degree in piano.
Well, do you know what? I feel like I'm the complete opposite, if I'm being
Really?
honest. Like I was in Manus for my undergrad, and I was like, do you know what? I want to do something that's not performance related, you know. And I was actually, I don't know if you know this, if you guys know this, but I was actually doing a master's in entrepreneurship and music management degree at Manus, and then I eventually dropped it because of scholarship reasons. I feel like after I graduated last year, I graduated from my master's in May, and now it's almost like 1 year. And I feel like since that point, I took a little bit of a break from performing as a soloist. For the first semester, I performed a lot with different vocalists, and I taught a lot. You know, but I've been teaching for 7 years right now. I feel like that's like a constant thing in my life. But at this point in time, right after taking that break and after going through all that, I feel like I want to play more, which is kind of bonkers a little bit because a couple of years ago I was like, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, something kicked in, and I kind of want to.
I kind of had because we graduated the same year, right?
Yep.
And then I also like took a break from performance because I was doing media studies, and I do feel like I have to be honest. I feel like stop like playing is kind of beneficial to my mental health. Like put me in a better place. Because
Yeah,
like
I
when
feel
you're
the same way right now. Yeah.
right? Because like I feel like the major reason is that when you're practicing, you literally isolated yourself in this little cube for like 6 hours or 7 hours per day. Like
Well,
you
I
don't
mean,
talk to other
I
people,
knew that by high school. I was like, there's no way I'm going to lock myself in a practice room
right?
6 to 8
Like
hours a day And
Hmm.
that is just not what I'm interested in. And I have no desire to do that. So that's why I decided, and I knew, like, I don't, and I also knew that I did not love piano that much that I wanted to do that, because it's just so, it's a lot of dedication, like a lot of dedication.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of dedication. I saw this PBS interview of this little kid. He's 9 years old, a pre-college at Juilliard right now. He's playing some Prokofiev sonata, and the interview is asking him, like, how many hours do you, the typical question, right? How many hours do you practice a day? And he
It's
said,
like 25.
well, he's like, oh, usually just 2 to 3 during weekdays because I have school. And I was like, so, well, how much do you practice? And they ask him, so how much on weekends? I'm like, yeah, 5 to 6. And the guy asked him, well, do you like practicing? He's like, yeah, I do like practicing. I'm like, you're cray cray. You're not a normal 9-year-old. How many 9-year-old wants to be practicing 5, 6? So, I mean, again, I think those are sort of signs to say these are, special kids that really are gravitated towards something. But like, there's no normal 9-year-old that wants to be locked away looking outside and, like, sitting there for 5, 6 hours without parents yelling at them that you have to continue practicing,
You have
right?
to be a little crazy.
I think he's just, that is what he likes and enjoy. Or maybe he's just saying that because he's been interviewed and his mom is sitting behind him. I'm like, wow, you're one special child to want to play enjoy practicing 5, 6 hours a day, you know?
But I did like teach kids that he is just like genuinely interested in practicing. Like he
Yeah.
is like interested. Nobody forced. I was like, but that's like, I think I only
Yeah.
met one.
Yeah, exactly, right.
In
So
my
that's
entire
like
life.
even Long Long was saying in interviews, and people were asking him again the same question. He's like, yeah, no, when I was a kid, I also hated practicing. There were periods where I just don't like to practice, but I had to because my dad was sitting next to me and forcing me to practice.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I think that's just normal child behavior. And and then you get to a point where you're like, do you decide like how much of this practicing is this, there's that much, there is a commitment that you have to give at the front end in order to know that at the back end there's some sort of light at the end of the tunnel.